Is 5 o'clock and it's time to start our vision committee meeting. Today we are doing it via Zoom because of the weather outside. We definitely want to keep everybody safe and warm. Let's go ahead and start this meeting, if we may, with a roll call. Cindy.
Councilmember Dennehy. Absent. Councilmember Reed. Absent. Councilmember Schmischer.
She's trying to get in right now.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember B. Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Stein.
Here.
Councilmember Tracy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick.
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here. All right. Chief, we really appreciate the opportunity to sit down and meet with you, even if it's virtually, and get our annual report on how the CCPD is doing. We are really proud. I mean, I'm really proud. I've been getting a lot of really good feedback this last year. You can definitely feel a culture shift and just an attitude shift as well. And just really appreciate all that you're doing.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, Madam Mayor, members of council, Mr. Stevens. Citizens of Canyon City, yeah, I'm very honored to be here this evening and go over our annual report. 2021 was a very busy year for us, and I'd like to take a little time and run through this annual report. And just so everyone knows that if it's not up today, it will certainly be up by the end of the week. We're going to post this on the city's website and on our Facebook page, and I would encourage citizens to give it a once over. Entertain yourselves, get in touch with what your PD is doing, and encourage anybody with questions, concerns, comments, ideas to give us a call. We're always looking forward to that communication with the community. So as we start, I'm certainly not going to read the report to everybody. I'm gonna try and share my screen here and see if I can do it properly, and hopefully we can see the report as I'm going through it. Does everybody see that okay? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, well, I'm gonna try and stay on track. I've got one hand on the laptop and one hand on the iPad trying to keep this thing rolling. But we're going to start with the chief's statement today, and then we'll touch on the vision and mission statements of the department, the values of the department. I'd like to give a bit of an overview on the agency, just so everybody knows kind of how the PD is structured. And then I'll get into the 3 divisions, and we'll talk about the significant accomplishments for each and our goals for 2022. Understanding that these are not, they are certainly a comprehensive. It's certainly a comprehensive review and forecast, but just understand that we're always assessing the community's needs, the agency's needs, and some of these can be fluid. So to speak. So, and then after we talk about each of the 3 divisions and go over the accomplishments and goals, if there's time, the crime statistics that we will reference within the report are certainly in Appendix A and B at the end of the report. If questions arise as we're going through, feel free to interrupt. If somebody types something in, please, while I'm reading, somebody stop me and clue me into whatever that question is, and we'll try and entertain it. So this Canyon City Police Department is really excited. This is Canyon City's 150th anniversary as a municipality, and we're certainly proud to serve its community honorably during this momentous time. we will continue to strive in 2022, as we did in 2021, to provide every citizen and visitor with service excellence. 2021, CCPD made some excellent or significant strides towards the implementation of 21st century policing principles. These principles are the industry best practices, and they are outlined in the 21st Century Policing Report. And those 6 pillars are 1, trust and transparency, critically important for our PD and our community, that relationship. Policy and oversight would be the 2nd. Our 3rd is technology and social media. Our 4th is community policing and crime reduction. Our 5th is training and education of our officers and professional staff. And number 6 would be officer safety and wellness. So as we read through the report, you'll notice that you'll witness that your police department has accomplished much. And all of these achievements have been a direct result of the police department staff's hard work and dedication and pure professionalism. As a team, we've raised our readiness and response posture through stronger accountability standards, which we'll talk a bit about, and through enhanced training. We've increased our community engagement footprint, which is enormous for us because we are the community and the community is the PD, right? So, our ability to interact positively and professionally with the public, even during the trying times of COVID and such, remains a top priority for CCPD. The pandemic certainly has brought some unique challenges to our policing posture. And I can't tell you how proud I am of the PD personnel, how the staff rose up during those times and met those challenges along the way. So I'm tremendously proud of them. And I want to thank the men and women of the Cañon City Police Department for their character and commitment to service. And I don't want to leave out the community. We continue to, feel the embrace of the community. Their support means so much to us. And I just want to say thanks to the community for that continued relationship. So our vision statement is our vision, mission, and values are clearly stated in our policies and in everything that we do. Our goal is to be innovative leaders committed to our community and each other. Very, very simplistic, but very profound, all in the same sentence. The mission of the Cañon City Police Department is to, in partnership with our community, promote the quality of life by providing police services with integrity and with a spirit of excellence by solving crime, preventing crime, and protecting the rights of our citizens. Our values, our acronym is CPRIDE, and they stand for courage, professionalism, respect, integrity, diligence, and excellence. In conjunction with the city's balanced scorecard metric system, we strive to work all of our vision and mission statement in. And at the end of the day, you'll notice on our newer police cars, our motto is service excellence, again, in line with the city's promise to the community. We're supporting that. We've adopted the city's balanced scorecard processes to help us set those goals and measure our ability to work towards them. So an overview of the Cañon City Police Department. Remind everybody that we subscribe to the 6 pillars of 21st century policing outlined in the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. And again, those 6 are at the top of the page there. The department is divided into 3 major divisions. We have the Law Enforcement Division, we have the Support Services Division, and we have the Administrative Services Division. Cañon City Police Department has 46 sworn staff and 10 professional staff. While each member of the department is tasked with promoting each of these pillars in the 21st century policing report, it is essential to recognize that certain pillars will be enhanced and pursued vigorously in different divisions because of their area of responsibilities. So, for example, as a matter of principle, policing and crime reduction are the prime responsibility of the law enforcement division, while technology and social media falls under support services division. And of course, we have policy and oversight, which would be a primary focus of our administrative services division. The police department is the largest city department. We budgeted for about a little over $5.5 million in 2021. And this police department has received nearly $1 million in state and federal grants over the last 2 years. It remains a focal point for me and the division commanders to try and operate your police department efficiently and responsibly, fiscally responsibly, and without compromising service. The department annually develops business plans and develops budgets based on strategic priorities addressed by the department and our community as they announce those concerns. The department has recently, in recent years, and continues today to implement several new technological projects to help us improve our efficiency in operations and transparency with the community. Obviously, we have computers in our patrol cars, body cameras, electronic traffic records, automated license plate readers, field fingerprint readers, and currently we are going to experience this year some new virtual training platforms through Axon that is going to give our officers force on force and decision-based reality training from the virtual component, helping us as we continue to try and expand on our what's important now acronym, WIN acronym, what's important now de-escalation philosophy. We also, again, getting back to our customer service element, we have recently partnered with the Combined Regional Communications Authority, and we will be implementing an application software known as QHIT, which is a real-time software that customer service software, which will enable us to do service surveys with everybody who calls the PD requesting any type of service. It is something we're very much looking forward to. I am confident that the returns will be high, and I'm quite certain that our level of service will be high. So we're looking forward to that. But again, building that trust and transparency, we want to hear what the community thinks about our service. And if we need to do something to improve those services, well, that would be a wonderful platform to announce that. In addition to the regular patrol duties, municipal code enforcement, animal control, evidence management, record keeping, the department significantly increased our community engagement profile last year, working key events such as Blossom and Whitewater festivals. But we also focused on increasing our presence during the holidays and throughout the year as we continue to move forward on that. And I forgot to move this page forward. I apologize. So, yeah, going back to QHIT, that's going to help us in that regard and move us forward. Little technical issue here, just 1 second, please. Okay, back on track. So talking about the law enforcement division, I may have went, no, I'm right there. Okay, so talking about our law enforcement division, of course, that is the heart and soul of the agency. And each of the 6 pillars certainly apply, but there are 4 focal points there for us: trust and transparency, policy and oversight, community policing and crime reduction, and of course, officer safety and wellness is always on the fronts of our mind. Of course, they're our backbone and handle all of our calls for service, ranging from traffic complaints and neighborhood disputes to sexual assaults and homicides. They are our most visible component of the department. Law enforcement division supports trust and transparency by directly engaging engaging the community to address concerns. Our division supports policy and oversight through direct supervision. And finally, the law enforcement division supports officer safety wellness through an established peer support program, something new that we stood up in 2021, and the regular shift training on safe officer tactics and a culture of officers that looking out for one another. The department responded to, in 2021, the department responded to over 26,000 calls for service. That's an enormous number of calls. And it was significant. The number is significant in and of itself, but what is even more significant is for the better part of 2021, we were operating at about 60% staffing. Out of the 26,000 plus calls, we generated 4,000 police reports, and about 95% of those calls were handled by all the officers within the law enforcement division. The average, what's particularly interesting in this section as we talk about our calls for service is our response times. We're pretty proud of our response times, and we're pretty proud of our clearance ratings, which we'll talk about here shortly. But the average response time in Cañon City was about 6 minutes and 18 seconds. By comparison, that number becomes significant when we look at another regional agency, Colorado Springs Police Department. At the end of 2021, their average response time was about 11 minutes and 51 seconds, with lower priority calls taking considerably longer. We're also pretty proud of the fact that our higher priority calls, those calls that may involve a physical disturbance, our response time is usually about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. Our overall clearance rating, case clearance rating, this is our scorecard and how we do with response to our calls for service, how we do with solving crime, investigating and solving crime. Our overall clearance rate in Cañon City for 2021 was 41.93%. Well, that sounds like we're only solving about half. The national average case clearance rate for the same time period is about 32%. So we're well above the national average. And as if we have time to look at the crime statistics in the rear, you'll see that as we take progressive measures to lead our officers more productively and efficiently through 2021, you'll see those clearance ratings increasing. And I suspect we won't see any significant jumps in the increase of clearance ratings, but I believe we'll still see modest increases year to year. So we're pretty proud of our time to respond to cases, and we're pretty proud at how we solved those cases. In 2021, we had several significant accomplishments. where we're very proud of our personnel responding above and beyond the call of duty in several instances. One particular note was one of our officers was honored with a life-saving award for performing CPR on an infant that was found unconscious in a bathtub. We were able to recognize that officer in council, and in fact, we've been contacted by another life-saving organization, and they would like to recognize his significance in Denver in the coming months. So we're pretty proud of that as well. We had 4 officers and 1 Fremont County Sheriff's deputy that received exemplary service awards for their response in the safe apprehension of a violent felony suspect who was wanted for attempted murder of a citizen in the county, attempted murder of a number of our city police officers, and who put our community at great risk during a high-speed pursuit during a peak travel time later in the afternoon, midweek, and shot at our officers and rammed their vehicles. These officers acted obviously very valiantly in pursuing this dangerous felon and taking him safely into custody while respecting his rights. And so we were pretty proud of them to recognize them in that capacity. We also took a violent sexual predator recently into custody for his attack on a citizen on the Riverwalk. So we're very proud of the collaborative efforts between our patrol officers and criminal investigators. They made a very quick arrest in that case, and that, again, is just a reflection of their hard work and dedication and professionalism. We also had an officer safely apprehend another individual who escaped from the Teller County Jail, who had originally been charged and convicted on multiple felonies, including the attempted murder, homicide of a Canyon City police officer in another pursuit that left our city and ended up in Teller County. We were able to take that person safely into custody and remove them from our community. We had a productive year participating. We started a regional criminal interdiction campaign targeting drug-related crimes. We've hosted, I think, 3 of those in Fremont County and Canyon City, working with our regional partners within the 11th Judicial District. And we've also worked in those jurisdictions as well. So we're pretty proud of those efforts. We also renewed our K-9 program. Our department's first K-9, Duke, retired in May of 2021, and after a career of serving the community and protecting officers. Duke was replaced by a young Belgian Malinois named Tyr, Tyr, and all the required to be certified in counter narcotics and patrol function. And the K-9 Merlin engagements, and all of our K-9 program was proudly funded with pure donations throughout the community. So goals for 2022, and I apologize, I keep forgetting to move this page and keep you guys in track with me. So goals for 2022, we're looking at, of course, we're getting pretty close to being fully staffed, and we're maintaining those staffing levels. I think we've made as the mayor reflected early on, I think we're making some positive strides in establishing a very productive and professional culture and climate at PD. I think employees are genuinely pleased to where they work and who they work for and who they serve. So we're proud of that. So our staffing levels are coming up, and we're almost there. That, of course, will, when we get those staffing levels where they should be, that helps our officers take time off, decompress, and just, reduce the amount of overall stress serving the 6th pillar of officer safety and wellness. maintain our partnership with Battle. The Battle Task Force has beat auto theft through law enforcement. Again, it's a regional effort to help us combat auto theft, not only in Canyon City, but across the region and across the state. You know, that if you've paid any attention to local news or state news lately, you know, that's one of our areas that Colorado excels in, and that's not something that we want to be proud of with our state, you know, having a high number of auto thefts. So we're going to continue to build upon our service excellence through proper case management, provide citizens with outstanding police service, timely and diligent follow-ups efforts to solve crime and address concerns, addressing Pillar 4 and community policing crime reduction, identify crime problems and meet with community partners. Again, Pillar 4, community policing and crime reduction. Continue our zone assignments to identify problem areas, and use 21st century policing practices and strategies to continue to build that trust and transparency and address those concerns. Again, community policing and crime reduction. Working with municipal court. This is something that we've recently, an undertaking that we're experimenting with. We're taking some of our less significant crimes out of the county court system, which is heavily overburdened. And oftentimes those cases don't get the attention they deserve. And we're steering them back into the municipal courts, hopefully to help you know, address some of these local issues at the local level. I think this is going to be significant for our community, and we're certainly looking forward to building on that. We are continue with coverage of our police K-9 to assist in the apprehension of felons and detect drugs, and explore grant opportunities to increase our traffic safety. Traffic safety has taken a hit over the last 18 months due to COVID. Some of the grants went away, and just by virtue of trying to minimize that contact, traffic stops have not been on the top of law enforcement's list over the last couple of years with the pandemic. So we're going to try and focus on those efforts this year, and we're going to pursue some grant opportunities to help us in that regard. And again, getting those numbers back up, those staffing numbers. When we look at 30,000 calls a year, when you're working at 60% of staffing, there's not a lot of time to work traffic. So that's going to be a focal point for us as those staffing numbers come back up, and hopefully we can get some grant opportunities. Increasing alternative forms of patrol through training and assignment to specialized units and special details to enhance our community policing footprint and our overall safety, officer safety and wellness, as well as our community safety and wellness. We're looking to stand up a bike patrol this year, a mountain bike patrol, and a community engagement operations and special detail assignments, dedicated traffic units, a SWAT team. All of these will serve a number of the pillars, but we've listed 4 as a community policing crime reduction efforts. And again, we're going to work to reduce the availability of illicit narcotics through increased covert enforced efforts and regional efforts, regional communication, investigative efforts. We're going to look to reduce our property crimes through successful resolution of cases and prosecuting offenders, expand crime analytics and intelligence functions to better deploy resources and solve crime, increase communication and case management practices between investigations and patrol units to improve case resolutions, and of course, continue focus on enhancing the culture and climate of the department so that people, again, feel good about where they work, who they serve, and you know, when they come to work in that capacity, I think everybody wins. Moving on to our support services division. Our support services division assists and supports daily operations of the police department. The division supports trust and transparency by maintaining all of our other units that support those measures, and those are the records department and responding to public records and news media requests. The division supports technology and social media by working with city's IT department to ensure up-to-date technology equipment is available, and by maintaining department social media accounts. This year, we have a full-time crime prevention technician housed in the division, provides neighborhood watch coordination, organizes regular community events in support of community policing and crime prevention. That person also recently obtained a new certification that we pushed this year, crime prevention through environmental design. This is going to give us an opportunity to meet with business owners, homeowners, folks who may fall victims of crime, and identify those environmental factors that may have contributed to crime. And we're real happy that we've got that person certified in that capacity to help reduce that crime element. The division oversees the division also oversees the mental health co-responder unit, which is responsible for providing mental health training to officers and assisting with peer support to enhance officer safety and wellness, and of course, responding to crisis within our community. The co-responder unit, for those not familiar, is a joint effort between the police department and Sylvesta, providing a law enforcement officer and a clinician who are available to respond to crisis at a moment's notice, in concert usually with the rest of the patrol units. The support unit, support services division includes the records unit, community service officers unit, which is our code enforcement officers, the evidence unit, which is both digital and physical evidence, and the co-responder unit and crime prevention. The division also manages all of our police records reporting and the reporting to the National Incident Based Reporting System, or NIBRS, which is the National Crime Reporting Index for the United States, all law enforcement agencies in the United States. This, of course, has been an unprecedented, extraordinary year, as we talked about. COVID-19 threat emerged. The division was confronted with many challenges, ability to assist patrol and serve the community with the best customer service excellence thought in mind. They did a wonderful job. The division's goal in addressing crisis was to maintain our most essential service capabilities while adhering to those social distancing protocols and assisting the department. Significant accomplishments for the support services division in 2021 would be the community services unit saw a significant increase in the number of calls for service, much like the patrol, the law enforcement division. We saw an increase in those calls for service. In spite of this, the unit successfully reunited over 90% of impounded dogs with their owners. And additionally, the unit took custody of 5 dogs after owners were hospitalized for medical issues, and successfully reunited each one of those owners and family members with their animal. The unit responded to a total of 1,356 calls for service, ranging from stray dogs to mobile home inspections and other code enforcement questions and problems. And I would just like to take my hat off to the code enforcement unit. As I was discussing with the mayor yesterday, I was rather proud that they responded to a call for an elderly lady who was hospitalized and concerned for the well-being of her animals left in her home, which were hamsters. And of course, the code enforcement folks, they are animal control officers routinely dealing with dogs, sometimes cats, but sometimes other animals. And what I thought was really interesting is this was an uncharacteristic request. And rather than, again, with the service excellence model in mind, rather than saying, that's not something we deal with, they came up with a path, and they were able to resolve that situation and bring some peace of mind to that person. So this is the tempo that they bring to work every day. So we're really proud of that. Really happy that we have the code enforcement officers, the community service officers that we have. Last year, we took up the annual mobile home inspections, and we inspected over 538 mobile home units to make sure that they were in compliance with associated city ordinances. The unit also responded to hundreds of cases involving municipal code violations and initiated major violation abatement projects at 4 separate properties throughout the city. And again, you know, these folks in community service work very diligently at gaining compliance, but it's not always, in fact, rarely does it come down to summonses being issued. So we're really proud of that. Most of their calls are voluntary compliance. So that's kudos to them. 22 goals for our goals for 22 for the code for the support services division: improve our wraparound services and marketing for mental health co-responder program, increase collaborative efforts with peer and resource agencies. We're going to reestablish our annual Citizens Academy to bring folks back into the PD and help them understand what their PD is about and what we can do for them. Increase our training and professional development opportunities within the community service officer unit. Establish crime prevention through environmental design, CPTED. We've already talked about that. We just got that goal is scratched off the list. So reestablish our neighborhood watch program. You know, probably saw on Facebook, we recently received a award for our National Night Out interest last year. And we're going to try and expand on that next year. We want to maintain that vibrant connection downtown with our downtown businesses, bringing citizens downtown and having that community festive event. But we also want to get our officers back into neighborhoods, into the neighborhood watch programs. So we're going to focus on that next year as well. We're going to look to increase our social media presence and leverage multiple platforms of social media so that we can reach more people in a more timely and efficient way. So we're gonna look at that. Conduct periodic patrol training on physical and digital evidence processing, because that is an ever growing source of contention for our digital evidence technicians and our patrol folks. Everything that we do is digitally monitored and recorded. So we have a very large footprint there to manage. And we're going to update all the unit operating and training manuals, providing daily detailed instructions on daily activities. And we're going to increase our reporting, our stats, statistical values for each of the divisions. And one new thing that the Support Services Division is going to have to adopt, and they've done so rather quickly. Commander Van Dyke's done an excellent job at helping to coordinate the police department's requirement to report citizen contacts in the field. This is a new mandated reporting feature that 217 and 1250 have required, and we have identified an app that's going to help us streamline that process, do it efficiently, and we are on track to begin a month before we have to go into, before the law goes into effect, so that we can kind of test and evaluate the waters and make sure that, you know, we're acting in full compliance by the first day that the law is enacted. Our final division is our Administrative Services Division. And the Administrative Services Division supports the Chief of Police, the Law Enforcement Division, and Support Services Division by performing all of the administrative functions necessary to maintain effectiveness and service excellence. Functions include policy review and updates, which is ongoing, coordinating training, recruiting and hiring, as well as discipline and internal affairs. The division supports trust and transparency by investigating those complaints and major incidents, and ensures compliance with relevant laws and policies. So the division supports policy and oversight by conducting regular reviews of policy and overseeing all disciplinary issues. The division supports training and education by coordinating all officer training and promotes officer safety and wellness by focusing training on officer and public safety concerns. Significant accomplishments for the administrative division in 22 or 21. A well-trained officer corps is essential to any police department. Police officers with Kansas City Police Department received over 2,100 hours of formal technical police training. Topics covered included mandatory training for officers and de-escalation techniques. We talked about the acronym What's Important Now, where we're helping our officers prioritize that need to engage and how to engage to try and mitigate those instances where use of force have to be used. What's important now, philosophy that deals with arrest and control, firearms, and emergency vehicle operations, along with elevating elective training in a wide range of areas such as community policing, drug crime investigation, internal affairs, leadership, mental health, crisis intervention. So we have covered a lot of ground this year. Right now, we have 2 officers in Arizona at the Use of Force Institute, which is a highly coveted national course of study that will bring these 2 officers back to us, who will be recognizable as subject matter experts. And from what I understand, the only 2 in our region. So they're going to be able to give us an in-depth analysis of use of force reviews, which is going to be a big component when we start talking about our MOUs for critical incident response investigations. So we're real happy about that. But so, and it's probably important for the community to know that we have exceeded all of the state training requirements this year or this past year, and we are on track to do the same this year. So we have a minimal number of mandatory training requirements, and we are exceeding those significantly. And those trainings, again, just renewed emphasis was placed on providing ongoing leadership, job-related training for professional staff, including reporting, evidence handling, code enforcement, supervision, and again, leadership. For quite some time, the department struggled with personnel requirement, recruitment and retention. In 2021, we hired 5 new police officers, 3 code enforcement officers, a code enforcement supervisor, a part-time evidence tech, and a part-time records technician, bringing the department closer to being fully staffed than at any other time in the past 5 years. So we're really proud of that. Again, our recruiting efforts have been strong. I think our retention efforts have been strong. And all of those new people, particularly, and again, going back to our community service officers, a completely brand new unit to establish the efficiency footprint that we have to date is a significant undertaking, and I'm really proud of that. In 2021, the department initiated 8 internal affairs investigation. That number's in line with our numbers for the past 5 years. We have at times of those 5 years, we had a low of 3 and a high of 13. We've had a number of founded complaints, again, going back to trust and transparency and accountability. 2 officers, or 1 officer and 1 professional employee were terminated. as a result of those investigations. 2 officers resigned prior to investigations, and 1 investigation resulted in a finding of not sustained. So we're holding ourselves accountable. That's critically important in our role as law enforcement, as peace officers in the community. We hold ourselves accountable. So moving on, unfortunately, we had the officer-involved shooting during Blossom Weekend. That resulted in a criminal investigation that was complemented by our internal investigation. And there were the criminal aspect of the investigation was cleared by the district attorney. And we had several training issues, or we had some training issues of minor policy violations that we identified during the internal investigation. And all of those matters were resolved as a matter of directive and have since become policy. Our officers were involved in some 50 incidents of a use of force against a suspect during an arrest. Reportable levels of force applied ranged from mere display of a taser or in another intermediate weapon to the officer-involved shooting. Excluding the officer-involved shooting, I'm proud to say that none of the suspects received injuries requiring hospitalization. Supervisors and command staff review all use of force incidents, and we found no violations of law or policy with respect to our uses of force. We've found several training issues. We found some equipment issues, but we have not found any. We've not had any founded excessive use of force complaints. So I think our training is working. I think our leadership's working, and I think our accountability measures are working. During 2021, department developed and implemented a new disciplinary policy. Now, some may think that that sounds pretty negative right out of the chute, but I can tell you that the culture and climate of our department, that has been met with with favoritism, with optimism, because it replaced a system before that there was a lot of ambiguity and a lot of uncertainty in terms of what punishments would be, and there was a lot of rumor about discipline processes not being equitable. So this process has clearly identified violations, clearly identifies sanctions, and we are able to move forward equitably and responsibly. And we've literally heard from officers after receiving discipline that they thought this was a productive and efficient manner of discipline, and we're moving forward. In addition to the newly implemented discipline policy, 15 other directives were issued and later adopted into policy, modifying previous policy or establishing new policy and procedure to maintain our industry best practices and to help us with that service excellence model that we talked about. Goals for 2022. Our chief goal this year from the administrative perspective is to get our agency reaccredited with the Colorado Associations of Chiefs of Police. That is going to be a big focal point for our administrative commander, Commander Walsh, this year. Again, bringing our department up to full staffing and maintaining those numbers, and analyzing our national trends in use of force and 2021 incidents of force in Canyon City to develop training for 2022, and expand our supervisory and leadership training programs, and obtain ABLE, another de-escalation pursuit that we are recently undertaking with endorsements by Sovista and Child Advocacy Center, and an endorsement from Mayor Smith. So we're looking forward to that. Active bystandership, law enforcement, training for law enforcement officers, and implement a career development program aimed at advancing employees' careers through progressive training, skills advancement, and community service. Conduct a full staffing agency analysis so that we can understand how we're serving Cañon City. Are we serving Cañon City from a reactive posture, or are we serving Cañon City from a proactive posture? We're going to send Commander Walsh to Northwestern University to help us understand that. They've got some pretty interesting formulas there to help us figure that out. And we're going to work to establish employee recommendation forums with chief and grievance and recommendation committees. So I am pushing right up on that hour. So our crime statistics review supports what we talked about earlier in the presentation, that our case clearance ratings are above the national average. And you can see overall and clearance rates have gone up. We've actually seen a reduction in our Group A offenses and an increase in our Group B offenses. Group A offenses are our more significant criminal matters, and Group Bs are less significant. I think I should probably wrap it up there and see if there are any questions from the audience or any questions from council that I can attempt to answer. And if I can't, I will find one.
All right, we have exactly 8 minutes left. Unfortunately, we have a hard stop at 6 o'clock because of Planning Commission tonight.
Okay.
If you have a question, please unmute yourself as a panelist and feel free to ask Chief. And if there's any questions from Facebook Live, if that could be put in the chat box, that'd be great. Amy, I see your hand is raised. Please feel free to.
Hello, Councilwoman.
Thank you so much, Chief, for your time.
Thank you.
I have several questions, but I see that Councilmember Smith's hand is also raised, so I will just ask maybe one of them or two of them.
Sure.
One, thanks so much for the update on the evidence unit within your support services division. It sounds like they've made a lot of progress over the past year. I was wondering if you could give us a bit of a sense of the scale of the current problem after this progress has been made, and what's the time frame for the complete resolution of the evidence backlog issues? And also, has the problem been fixed so that moving forward, it isn't compounding the issue with the backlog?
Well, that's a great question. And we are struggling with what I'm told is 20 to 30 years of backlog. I can tell you that our current evidentiary footprint, our current evidence, our current property is in line with industry best practices. So we are caught up in that regard. Last year, we had an independent consultant come in and assist us with disposing of a backlog of personal property that was in our safe holding processes. We currently, we have looked to the industry to help us find a specialist who can help us reconcile the 20 to 30 year backlog of records and evidence. It's all there. We just have to reconcile it, and then we have to dispose of it according to law. I'm having trouble finding an independent entity to come in and help us with that. So for the last several months, we have used overtime funding to have our records personnel and evidence personnel manually go through there and start reconciling. It was a slow start, but they are averaging, I don't want you to quote me, but they've made significant progress from where they began. Once you establish a rhythm and a pattern of evaluating these things and putting them in their order, they're moving a little quicker. we are nowhere close to being done with it. There's a lot of work there, but we are just going to keep chipping away and looking for a more comprehensive solution. But nonetheless, it's our problem, and we're going to deal with it.
Thank you so much, Chief. I'll reserve my other question given the time. Thank you.
Feel free to email them to me.
Thanks, Chief.
Well, thank you.
I didn't have much to say. I just wanted to say thank you for all you guys do. I have the pleasure of dealing with the PD staff pretty much on a daily basis in a little less formal atmosphere, and it's always a pleasure. So thank you guys again for everything that you do.
Well, thank you, Councilman, and thank you to all of the council for their continued unwavering support and embrace. We genuinely appreciate it.
Amy, would you like to ask one more question since we have
Sure.
minutes?
I would love to, unless anyone else has a question. I would just love to hear a little bit more about what you consider your biggest challenges or areas for growth to be in the coming year, and if there are any ways that the city or the council can better support the police department.
Well, that's again another great question, and that is partly why I want to do the staffing analysis, to get a supported foundation or fundamental understanding of where we are at nationally in comparison. Are we proactive or are we reactive? There are staffing analysis that will tell you you're significantly understaffed and you're not even reactive. So we want to get that staffing analysis done, but I say before the staffing analysis even comes in, the results of the staffing analysis, I think we're going to have to really focus on our evidence component and our records folks, because our records folks work very hard to keep up with the steadily increasing number of information requests and the discoveries for all the various courts based off of those 4,000 reports annually. And that is a 2.5, two full-time and 2 part-time folks working in that posture. So we may have to look at expanding our records and our evidence folks to just keep our head above water while we try and fix the other things that are backlogged.
Yeah, that was something I was thinking during your presentation, that sounds like another position we might have to take a look at for our future
Yes,
budget.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, we have less than a minute left. So I guess this is our chance to just give our congratulations and our heartfelt thanks for the life-saving efforts, the property crimes and other crimes that have been cleared and attended to, and for that amazing number of calls that our police department attended to at 60% staffing during COVID. I mean, that is insane.
I am enormously proud of our folks. They are true champions.
And I believe that I speak on behalf of all of council to please tell all of our officers, sworn and regular office staff, our heartfelt appreciation and gratitude for their hard work.
Will most assuredly share that, Mayor.
All right, and if you have more questions, go ahead and email Chief Schick and Ryan Stevens, and we will make sure that we attend to those. Thank you again, and thanks for all who have tuned in today.